Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me, Diksha Chakravati of Fixme and Neon Juno and CogX. Thank you very much on behalf of everybody for taking the time out to come and join us to learn how stress affects your performance. So we're going to cover three areas. What is stress? What it does to us, the effects of it. And finally, I would like to share with you three strategies you can use on a daily basis to combat the stress in your life. So first and foremost, what is stress? So how many of you have actually experienced stress in your life? Ooh, okay. How many of you have noticed that stress affects your performance? Okay, right. 100%, everybody's hands up. Absolutely. I am just the same. Stress affects my performance. And I feel that I do not perform the best when I am stressed. So quick question. What is your understanding of stress? What do you think stress is? Would anybody like to share? No? Claire? Yes?
So I think it's when you've got a number of different events all happening at once, or you're excited about something. It can be positive or negative, but it's just extra pressure, whether it's kind of the gravity of the situation or just a number of things happening at the same time.
Okay, so I'll take the two words you use, extra pressure, right? Extra pressure. Okay, we'll go with that. Okay, so is stress positive or negative?
I think it can be both. If I think about it, before I go up on stage for a presentation, I can feel the excitement and the stress of trying to get everything ready. I'm not scared. It is excitement, and it's that tick, 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 tick that I feel under stress for sure.
You're absolutely right. Stress is neither good nor bad. It is contextual. So like you mentioned, just before a performance, you're going in there, you are super excited about it. You are in positive stress, which is known as eustress. For example, right now, I'm in performance mode. I want to make sure everyone who's attending goes away with some real valuable information. So I'm focused, I'm engaged, and I'm creative. So that's known as eustress. But distress is when eustress converts to distress. For example, Harry Kane yesterday, when he took his team out on Euro 2020 against Croatia, the entire team were pumped. So that was eustress, right? Christian Eriksen on Saturday night, when he collapsed on the football field, eustress for everybody in that stadium very quickly turned to distress because they didn't know what was happening. And what are the signs of distress? Heart goes like mad, pumping increases, we get dry mouth, brain becomes foggy, we get sweaty palms, we start sweating. So we've gone from eustress to distress in a flash. The body is a wonderful organism. We really react very, very quickly to changes. So we go from eustress to distress very, very quickly. Now, we can learn a lot about stress management from animals. So for example, a zebra, when it's being chased by a lion in the African savannah, is running like mad to save his life. So where do you think his body is, in eustress or distress?
Distress.
Distress, that's right. But as soon as he's outrun the lion, he very quietly goes back to munching grass, right? He's not stuck in distress, right? He has a little shake and he goes straight back to munching grass. But when he was running away from the lion, there were some systems in his body that were working incredibly hard, and then some systems that closed down. The ones that were working really hard were his heart, his lungs, his liver, his pancreas, and his musculoskeletal system, because all these systems were enabling him to run from his predator. Some systems are not necessary, so they had gone into shutdown, the digestive system, right? He is not bothered about digesting his breakfast. He's just about to become the lunch for the lion. So he ain't bothered about his digestive system. His reproductive system, this is not the time to look for a mate. He's got to save his life. And the immune system, there might be a bug or two running around in his body, but he's going to leave that aside until he's saved himself and then attend to that. So in essence, what we have in the body is what's known as dysregulation, imbalance. And as soon as that zebra has outrun his predator, balance is restored and he's back to normal. Do you think we humans tend to do that? No. Okay. No, you are right. We humans don't tend to do that. So with your permission, I'd like to share my screen.
Yeah.
And I'd like to show you what I call the bridge analogy. So this is Tower Bridge in London. Okay. One fine day, some hauliers have an argument with the government and they decide that they are going to park their trucks nose to tail on Tower Bridge. The very same day, farmers have an disagreement with the government and they decide that they are going to take all the tractors and park them on top of these trucks on Tower Bridge. That day, a great big aeroplane misses the runway at City Airport and lands itself on the bridge. And there's a great big swell in the Thames that day, and one of those really fancy yachts is blown over onto the bridge. So my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, is what's happening to that bridge?
It's got there's a lot of load on that bridge.
It is. So what's going to happen with that load on the bridge?
It could snap the bridge. None of the traffic's flowing over it because it's just so stuck.
It's stuck. Now, what's the first thing that's going to happen to the bridge when all of this is piling on?
I think it's just in danger of collapse, I'd say.
That's right.
Yeah.
But as this load is piling on, we'll start seeing some signs of Tower Bridge collapsing. So it's going to groan, it's going to creak, there are going to be cracks that are going to be appearing, right? Mm-hmm. And then if we don't do anything about it, then it's going to collapse, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, in order to manage the stress at the moment on Tower Bridge, we have got two options, right? One option is to strengthen the bridge. The other option is to take the load off. So I'd like to respectfully suggest that this is an analogy for our lives, particularly currently, because the equivalent of the trucks, the tractors, the yacht and the airplane are things like our jobs and our businesses, finances, family, and health. The pandemic has created havoc in our lives. And our jobs and business, some people were furloughed, some people have lost their jobs. They haven't had money. Family members have been hospitalized. Some, unfortunately, may also have died. And everybody's frightened, am I going to get the virus? So we have been doubly under stress. Our bridge has been doubly under strain in recent months. Would you agree?
Yeah,
for
sure.
Yeah, okay.
And you can't take away some of those problems.
This is the whole point. We're not in a position to get rid of the trucks or the tractors or anything like that. We have to deal with them. We absolutely have to deal with them. And towards the end, we'll come about talking about how we can strengthen this, what is going to make us stronger so we can take the challenges that we are currently facing. Okay? So we know what stress is. We have seen how it affects us. Now let's make it personal. According to NHS, the 3 top diseases that they deal with, cardiovascular disease, strokes, and cancer, are all caused by or made worse by stress. And the number 1 killer for men under 45 is suicide. So it's rife, it's dangerous because it has the potential affecting every cell in our body. So I'm going to ask a question. How do you know you are stressed? How does stress affect you?
I might not sleep. I might be irritable and impatient. I think my son would tell you that. My heart will beat fast. I physically feel it. My heart beats faster. I have some digestive problems at times. Yeah, so it's a mixture of emotional and physical feelings that I get. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All those three you've mentioned, I experience them myself. So what I'd like to do is share with you. What I'd like to do is share with you some of the signs and symptoms of stress. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. So I'm just going to let you digest this for a moment and recognize yourself where you might be on the stress level.
Wow. Could you expand bruxism?
Bruxism is clenching teeth and grinding teeth.
Okay.
Which then, of course, leads to problems with swallowing, problems in neck and shoulders, headaches. So that then sort of proliferates into other problems.
And I think for some of those, they're almost subconscious behaviors. And so the grinding teeth, that's something my husband does in the middle of the night. Yes. And in the middle of the night, he's not running away from a lion. Well, he might be in his dreams, but you know, it's definitely present.
And it comes when we least expect it. For example, anger and irritability. When we, the families, as one of our children might ask us a completely innocent question, because the buildup has been so big that we just snap, and they don't even know why we've snapped. They look at us and think, what's that about? So it comes along when we're least expecting it.
And I can see that as a cycle, in terms of commuting and being caught in traffic. And if you're already stressed, then you get angry at other drivers, which makes you more stressed.
Exactly.
You get angrier.
Exactly. It's interesting. Hold that thought, please, Claire. You mentioned driving. We'll come to that in a bit. So this is to demonstrate how dangerous stress is, because stress has a potential of affecting every single cell in our body. All the gazillion cells we have, it can potentially affect every single cell in our body. So my question to you is, do you recognize when you are stressed? Do you recognize when you are stressed?
I recognize when I hit 7 out of 10.
Out of 10. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But at least you do, which is really great. Which is really great. Okay. So every year, the Stress Management Society does a survey in 4 large cities, Leeds, Manchester, Birmingham, London, and they ask 1,000 people the same question every year. And would you believe the responses are always the same? So when I am stressed, I blank, 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 blank. So what do you think the 4 top stress management strategies are identified every year?
In terms of the question, or in terms of how you manage it? Sorry.
How you manage it. What are people saying that they do to manage their stress? What are the top 4, do you think?
Take a break. So maybe, no? Oh.
Try
okay. Again. Open the wine.
Yes, number 1, top of the list. Yes. You're on the right track.
Eat more chocolate.
Number 2, you're on the right track.
What else do I do? Oh my goodness, I talk to my friends and have a good old moan about it.
Not on the list.
No.
I'll put you out of your misery. Yeah. Cigarettes and coffee.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. All these 4 things do give you very, very temporary relief. And very quickly they go the other way. Yeah. Right. So this is not a healthy way of managing stress, because they lead to such problems of their own, really. Of their own. So what I'd like to do is now talk about how you can manage stress in a healthy way. And again, with the permission, I'd like to share the screen. So for me, I call it the 3 M's of combating stress on a daily basis. The first M is a morning routine. So I wake up in the morning, I do a little bit of meditation, and then I do my exercise, I do my journaling, I do some reading, and then I'm in the office ready for the day. Now that morning routine can be anything. It does not have to be 20 minutes, it doesn't have to be an hour, it could be 15 minutes. But starting the morning with doing something that is good for you is really, really important. You could do sit quietly with a cup of coffee in the garden. It doesn't matter, whatever works for you. Hal Elrod is a guy who's made this quite popular. So there are loads of books available. And if you have a look at it, he gives many suggestions about what your morning routine could consist of. And it's scientifically proven that half an hour after we've woken up is when we are the most creative. So if you're esoteric, it's when you ask questions and the universe delivers answers. Or if you're much more basic, it's kind of questions you've asked yourself, the answers come forth from yourself. So first half an hour every morning after we wake up is when we are most creative, right? The second thing is mindful being. The second M is mindful being. Notice I haven't said mindful meditation. I've said mindful being. And what I mean by that is no matter what you are doing, no matter what task you've undertaken, do just that, being fully present in the moment. So if you're planning a task, a project, focus on that. If you're cooking dinner, focus on that. If you're having a client call, focus on that. Instead of thinking, okay, so after this call, I've got to talk to this person, I've got to take this, I've got to do that, I've got dinner to cook, got my in-laws to pick up from the train station. Just stay focused on that one thing. And something I want to talk to you all lovely people about today is mindful eating. Now, the majority of people will eat at their workstations. Somehow, yeah, Claire's nodding away, yeah. Don't, please, Claire, don't. I'll tell you the reason why. First and foremost, you're multitasking. You are eating and not even enjoying what you're eating. And therefore, I'll tell you this, it's proven you do not absorb as many nutrients as you really should. Yes, mindful eating means you taste what you're eating, you enjoy the textures, the flavors, and you absorb more nutrients instead of it just going straight through your system. It'll go through your system at the speed at which you're stuffing your mouth. Pure and simple. I'm sorry to be so gross, but that's exactly what it is. You will not be able to take in as many nutrients. So you could well be shopping at the most expensive shops and getting really, really good organic vegetables, but if you're not eating them properly, you might as well get cheap vegetables because you're not taking in the nutrients. So taking a break during lunchtime and just sitting outside and eating mindfully is going to help. And with that, I'd like to take you on a little experience. So can I just ask you all to just gently close your eyes because we're going on a journey. Now, this is called making tea a ritual, and this is my morning coffee ritual. So 6 o'clock in the evening is approaching. I can sense it drawing near. At 6 o'clock on the dot, I drink tea, a celebratory enjoyment devoid of disappointment in this ailing existence. Something that makes you realize that you have the power of calming happiness in your hands. Even the action of pouring fresh water into my beautiful kettle gives me pleasure. I wait patiently for it to boil, listening out for the whistling sound, the singing of the water. I have a huge, deep, round, red mug. The tea has a golden yellow hue like fresh hair. It never gets too brown, it's light and delicate. I drink it mindfully and very slowly. The tea has a stimulating effect on my nervous system. Everything in life seems to be more bearable and lighter thereafter. Drinking my tea at 6 o'clock never seems to lose its power over me. Every day I long for it as intensely as the day before. And when I drink it, I lovingly embrace it into my being. You may open your eyes. How did that feel, listening to that as a ritual?
It actually sounded so refreshing. Just even listening to it and summoning up the images was was relaxing and calming because I was there step by step and couldn't focus on anything else. But yeah, and it's also You're so right when you say that you listen to the water singing. You can hear that in the bubbles.
Yes.
And if you notice, but often you're kind of like dashing around or checking your phone, checking your Instagram while you're waiting for that, and you miss that moment.
Absolutely, you miss all these beautiful moments. You just miss all these beautiful moments. And that's exactly what I do with my morning cup of coffee. Every day, that is the ritual I undertake. I so look forward to it. And my guilty secret is I have one ginger nut biscuit with my morning coffee. And I love it. So my suggestion is, please have your morning cup of coffee like that, include it in your morning routine, and be mindfully present with throughout the day, no matter what you're doing. And the final thing I'd like to finish off with is your monthly massage. Massage is so underrated in stress management. And having been a stress and pain therapist for 20 years, I have seen how phenomenally beneficial a decent quality massage is. So treat yourself. It's not a question of, oh, this is a luxury. It is an essential part of your well-being. A good monthly massage, you will notice a difference. It will take you to the nth degree of stress relief. So to recap then, what we've done today is we've looked at what stress is, why it's there, how you respond to stress, the unhealthy ways of managing stress, and the healthy ways of managing stress as well. So if there are any questions, I'll be very happy to take them. Anybody got any questions?
So if I may take the opportunity, I work with a number of tech leaders, and these are men and women in their 30s and early 40s. Yes. And they're at a point where lots of elements are clashing together. So they're running a busy business, they're perhaps thinking about a family or have their own family pressures at once. But also sometimes those deep inner beliefs come through, particularly imposter syndrome or fear of rejection. I really liked many of your strategies, but are there extra elements that could help them to really get underneath that, almost as a release that they can keep performing?
A lot of people find exercise to be a good release, something that is active. So it could be going for a walk, going for a run, playing tennis with the weather, etc. But sometimes I have to say, Claire, that one has to look at one's mindset, because one of the biggest things that we don't do is say no. We keep taking it on. We keep taking it on. But I do think that people who are under so much stress and the bridge is collapsing because they've got so much to do, at the end of the day, without sounding brass, I have to say, sometimes it is a question of looking at what's your value in life? What is your big why? Why are you doing what you are doing? Because if at the end of the day, like my father, who died at the age of 55 due to a cardiac arrest caused by stress, unfortunately, my ex-husband died last year at the age of 66 to a cardiac arrest caused purely by stress. When you hear and see these things, one has to ask one's question, what am I doing this for? There's always an option. There's always a choice. So I'll be very happy to chat to your high-flying techie people and see what other ways we can do that, which are specific to them, which works for them. Because one size does not fit all in stress management. Some people find one very, very useful and the other not. So with respect to your high-flying techie people, I'd be very happy to have a conversation with them and talk to them about what works for them. And on that one, I just want to share a little bit more information with you, please, if I might. So for people who have attended this presentation, I'm offering a free 20-minute discovery call. So Claire, your techie leaders can take that up. And also if they come and see me for a consultation, a proper consultation on stress management, then there's a 50% loyalty bonus for them. So that, just to say thank you for the consultation.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I'm guessing on that website, address, there are some extra resources and information that they've given if they like listening to you today?
Yes, absolutely. If they can just, if they book in the discovery call, I can then point them to the right kind of resources that they might need, which are very specific to them. Again, it's pointless giving resources to people that don't work. I work very much on a one-to-one basis. What is right for you? And that's what I supply.
So Diksha, thank you so much today. We've learned a lot within a short time in terms of that presentation about some of the impacts of stress and some of those that you know but you kind of avoid. But what I found really enlightening is the right word, is the example of the morning routine. And on Twitter you have kind of big entrepreneurs like Naval saying you have to do 60 minutes of meditation, and it's just unachievable for anybody with a family, anybody who's busy. And so sometimes with a lot of the mindfulness chatter, it's unattainable. It just doesn't feel realistic. So just stopping to make a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and that we're allowed to have caffeine as well.
You need everything in balance, Claire, everything in balance. Yes, yes. And that's why I use the word mindful being rather than mindful meditation, because the word meditation can be quite off-putting. And doing 60 minutes of meditation, like you say, is well, I don't do 60 minutes of meditation. I work in this field. I do not do 60 minutes of meditation. I haven't got the time.
Absolutely. So what we'll do at the end of the video, on the show notes for today, we're going to include your bio and links to your website. So if people want to find out more, they can click through to there. For anybody who visits the booth or anybody who visits the Neon Juno channel, as I say, for the leaders that I work with, I see many issues hitting at once, and they're trying to find a way, trying to find a mindset to perform and to keep performing. So I'm sure that these resources will be really helpful. So thank you very much for your time today.
You're very, very welcome. I had a wonderful time. I hope you found it useful, and thank you again.